Nate, we went to seminary together. What is your crowning achievement of going to the fort? And I hope it's the same as mine.
Yeah, that's for sure. Winning the Fort Wayne St. Louis basketball game. What was that, 2019?
As far as I'm concerned, it's written in heaven's rafters, so it's an eternal victory.
We're gonna have to get Joel on to talk about it from his perspective, aren't we?
We are. That'll be great. That'll be glorious. And I
Did
won't
he
be.
play in that game?
I think so. I don't know. Yeah,
I love that you don't remember.
it didn't matter. I knew who was on our team. I don't
Uh,
I don't remember losers, David.
that's good. That's
Well,
good.
it's great to have. Hey, Pastor Konkel, just tell me who you are, why I should care, and what you're up to.
Okay. Nate Konkel. I'm a pastor in Finlayson, Minnesota, and Bruno, Minnesota. Why you should care about me? We're friends, so friends care about friends. And
Touche.
what was the third one?
What are you up to? What are you excited about?
Oh, a lot of things. We got a lot of great things going on at the church's confirmation. We started with the families this last week. We had 10 kids in confirmation class this year, which is great, and got something like over 20 kids memorizing the catechism for Sunday school. They get rewarded for that each week in different ways, and it's really taken off.
So, would you mind sharing the incentives? Because you were telling me this on Sunday, and I was
Sure.
blown away. And I thought about moving to your church so I could get these rewards.
Sure, yeah. We have a couple of generous members who basically, when the kids recite catechism, they get points. So there's a point system, and it's we don't tell the children this, but essentially, it's every point is $1. So some of these kids are
Nice.
reciting something like all the commandments and every book of the Bible and the Lord's Prayer in a single week, and they're getting like $100+ in prizes. Uh, it's pretty incredible. Actually, some of the parents have asked, like, maybe we should like lower the value of the points.
I love
We don't want them to get
that.
too greedy.
You see, all I got when I recited the catechism was permission to go on vicarage.
If Professor Plus is listening, although I don't, does he do that anymore? This is the way to do it.
That's right. I mean, can we put a dollar value on it? I mean, $150. That'd be great for me. I don't care what your kids get.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet deal, and hope it can continue because the kids, they love it, and they line up before Sunday school every week.
That's inspiring, Nate. The current iteration of what I'm working on merely has like social acknowledgement as the prize, so you get to check the box on a piece of paper that is in a book. But I think monetary incentives are nice. That's good. Gotta give that a try.
Yeah, so if you're listening and you want to make sure that Lutheranism continues to exist, maybe put your money where your mouth is and give the kids some incentive to memorize the catechism. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's working well so far.
I am really excited about our listener question. And for the record, I have no idea who this is that called in. He said he was a guest on the podcast, but
Yeah,
I don't remember it. And
never heard his name. Voice is very unrecognizable. Let me get that going here. Share the entire screen. Here we go. All right.
nope, no audio, Dave.
No audio. Hang on. Got it. Now you should have audio.
Hey, Pastor Joseph Minch from Nokomis, Illinois, calling in. I just wanted to say I had such a blast as a guest on your podcast talking about Genesis 22 that I couldn't
No idea who you are.
And I wanted to revisit something that we discussed. Pastor Buchs had brought up the Gospel of Thomas. And
Did I bring that up?
I found one of the quotations I was thinking of. I want to read to you the Gospel of Thomas, saying 1:14. And it goes like this: Simon Peter said to them, Mary should leave us, for females are not worthy of life. Jesus said, See, I am going to attract her to make her male, so that she too might become a living spirit that resembles you males. For every female that makes itself male will enter the kingdom of heaven. So, curious if you got any thoughts on that. Thanks, guys.
Those are my favorite questions. Comments? Because you can just say no.
That's exactly right.
Well, I've got an angle that I'd like to. I've got several thoughts, but I don't want to monopolize the microphone. So, Dave or Nate, you want to chime in?
I think you should kick us off and give us what you got so we can react to it. But then I've got some thoughts of my own as well. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is really emblematic of Gnostic thinking in general. So, Gospel of Thomas, Gnostic gospel, and I can't say that I read it every morning for devotions. It's got a lot of funny sayings like this. So for Gnosticism, and in particular Valentinianism, which, I mean, he's kind of the father of most Gnostics, says that the fall actually happens in Genesis 1 and 2. So Orthodox Christianity and the Bible says that the fall happens in Genesis 3 when Adam and Eve fall into sin. But for the Gnostics, it happens in creation. And so the fall is going from the spirit realm, falling down into the material world. And since that's the fall, the redemption then would have to be the material world being assumed back into the spirit world. And since this would be an interesting way to look at it, since Jesus says we're going to be like the angels, you misunderstand that. There's going to be no genders, no male or female, and obviously we're not going to procreate in heaven, but that means that everybody's going to have to come back into this one unity. So it's kind of a weird pantheism in a way. And you can see why a lot of the Gnostics were universalists, because the beginning is just like the end, and it all gets subsumed back into the Godhead. So everybody's going to be saved eventually. So those are my thoughts. And then male and female just go out the window because it wasn't there in the beginning.
Yeah, that's interesting. The desire for pulling everything back to the way to the beginning, to the kind of reunification in a flattening sense. That's interesting because that's really counter to the way that God creates, right? I mean, God's creation is division and filling, right? So divide and fill, and then divide the man from the woman so that she's a helper fit for him. There's instead of it being like this flattening, it's this multiplication, right? Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So that in some sense you get, like you could say, never fewer and fewer kinds, but actually more and more kinds along the way, right?
And God's glory isn't diminished, but it continues to increase as his creation praises him, as the Psalms say over and over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, this is a hazard of Greek philosophy, right? That they really couldn't get beyond the notion of a unity, that if it were divided, or if it had any parts, or if it were to I can't think of the right terminology for it, but like that it would lose in its glory, as opposed to recognizing that there is a possible kind of unity that can propagate and become more glorious in its propagation, right?
That's right. Because, I mean, that's what baptism is for us Christians. Like, we enter, not fully, we can't see it, but we enter in God's glory and we become more glorious like him. Eventually, we're going to be able to see it and our sin's going to disappear. But things are going to get better, not just turn into a blob.
Right. Yeah.
What are your Gnostic thoughts, Nate?
I don't have too many of those, or at least I try not to.
Would you like to comment on the character of the questioner?
Yeah, it's provocative, but I don't know if that's in a positive way. Reverend Joseph Mensch.
Is this like him? We don't know him. Josh and I don't know him. Is this like him to ask questions like this?
In the best of moods, I think it is. Yes.
So let me posit this. Is there any way? I mean, the language, the quotation is, boy, it's hard to wiggle your way around it. But could you spiritualize it in such a way that that it would not be completely abominable? What do you got? Any way to work around it? Let Mary leave us, for women are not worthy of life. Look, I shall guide her so as to make her male, so that she too may become. So I'm just wondering if that sounds worse to us than it sounded to the apocryphal writer.
The only thing that I'm thinking of is, our gathering under these two things, namely that we are sons of God and the bride of Christ as the church. Those are the only two touch points that I'm pulling out that could be anywhere near Orthodox Christianity that would seem to be something, on its face as changing gender or something, changing sex or something like this, even though rightly understood, they're nothing close to that.
So the only problem is that as the bride of Christ, actually the males are going to become females, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
Precisely. Yeah. I mean, okay. So that's also interesting because, like you were describing a little bit earlier about angel, like the angels, neither being married or given in marriage. There is something so we operate with categories that are created and that we know from below, right? So we know male and female from below as subject to these categories. But there is obviously something transcendent about them that is inaccessible to us. Again, I was having this conversation with my kids last night about about the will and knowledge of God's, what God is up to. How can He love everyone and say, Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated? I think one of my kids was listening to the CloudCast, actually. The fact is that
you let them listen to that.
Yeah, the censored version. I make sure that anyways, the operative analogy for me is like we're babies who don't understand what mom and dad are doing to us, right? That's the level of our knowledge and apprehension of what's going on is as if we were little teeny tiny infants held in the arms of our parents, and that's what it is like for us in relation to God. So here He assigns us sex, and we're like, okay, I think I know what this is about. I think I've got the male and female thing down. And God's like, well, I mean, no, you don't. There's more going on here, right?
Yeah, I've thought about this because it shows up when God says that He's creating man and woman, male and female. It's in His image. So what's exactly the relationship there? And we got to use precise language because we're not going to say that God's a woman because He clearly is the Father and the Son. So there's a maleness to God. And yet, at the same time, the image of God does have something to do with male and female. And is that just the idea of being able to create like God? Is that part of it?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think part of the problem is that like our only way of it kind of like picturing maleness and femaleness joined together is something hermaphroditic, right? And it's like, well, this is actually a corruption. This is not what certainly not what God is. It's only from our perspective that's how the two things can be linked.
When you say corruption, you don't mean like the procreative act in paradise, though. Like hypothetically, if Adam and Eve never sinned, right?
Right. I'm saying that like hermaphroditism, what would be a word?
We got it.
Having obscurity about which sex you are, that's a corruption, right? But my point is like that's the only category in which we can see maleness and femaleness, kind of occupying the same space, right? Well, that's clearly not what's going on with God when He is the Father, but also like a hen would gather her chicks under her wings, longing to gather Jerusalem. It's not like that, right?
Konkel,
Yeah.
you look like you've got a contemplative thought.
Yeah, I was just thinking about some of the verses that we were reading this weekend about how at the pastors' conference about how God uses the sexes to shape all of life, and yet within Him, all life is found. So it's all thought. I know one of my friends was stumped on this at an exit interview for seminary about whether the image of God is only found in males, or if it also is given to females. And I'm still not sure that I have the correct doctrinal answer for that. Even if I can touch all around it, I mean, the answer is no, but I don't know how to elaborate that.
Gerhard answers that very question in one of his red books that I paid too much money for. So I'll scan it for you. David hates it when I do this, but I just want to dismiss the question because I think it's stupid.
I don't hate it. In fact, I mean, I think that the critique of the question is great. It's like, well, you're thinking in the wrong category, so you're not allowed to ask a question, right?
Can I move on to our next question? Because this one,
let's do it.
I know, strangely related in a way.
Became so timely and strangely related. Yeah.
And we've got a backlog of questions, so we've gotten your voicemails. Thanks, Pastor Buchs, for burying those and rediscovering them. And we are gonna get to them in the subsequent weeks. So we got a really great one next week to answer. Actually, three questions, and well, it was 2 phone calls. There's a 90-second limit on the voicemail. Apparently, did you know this?
I didn't know it. So you got to be concise or leave 2 messages. Those are your options.
Do you have the new phone number available?
I do. It's 501-777-7810. That's 501-777-7810. You can also find it now. I'm getting wise to these things. You can find that number in the show notes, in the description of the podcast. You can also find there an email address. I know folks have sent you emails in particular, but I opened a Proton mail, the CloudCast at proton.me. So you can email the CloudCast email. Also, just for what it's worth, I wanted to say this. We have 47 Spotify followers as of the last time I checked, which is pretty awesome. And we have 12 YouTube subscribers. And it occurred to me, we haven't done much promotion. What if each one of our listeners, dear listener, what if each one of you were to share your favorite episode with a friend? I wonder what would happen if we would see a spike in listenership. Just, consider it.
If you did that, they might end up building the 3rd temple in Jerusalem and bring about the apocalypse. Just think about that.
That's right. Your dollars that go to support the CloudCast also finance red heifers, which we will send to Jerusalem. So go for it. Let's do it.
I just read that they had a lot of trouble finding a red enough heifer, so better make sure your stock is pure. No, it's got to be all red hairs. Can't find a single other color hair on the heifer.
Gee. That's great. If you have any questions about how to turn your cows red enough, contact Dr. Weinrich at the seminary. So this is the question. In your last podcast, David said something to the effect that Mormons will not be saved. Why? Is salvation the result of faith in Jesus Christ and a sincere attempt to live according to his will, or is it the result of having the proper theology? And then question cites Romans 9 about declaring with our mouth that Jesus is Lord and being saved. And then Paul does not say that we are saved by having a correct understanding of the Trinity. We study his word because we want to know God and understand his will. If we do not get it right, meaning the doctrine of the Trinity, does that mean that salvation is off the table? So who wants to talk about Mormons?
This is incredibly interesting, the timing of this, considering that this is a conversation going on right now after the shooting of that Mormon temple. Where was it? In Michigan somewhere, right? Was it Michigan? Yeah.
which is awful. Like we should just say that at the beginning, because we're gonna obviously have like major critiques of Mormons, and we'll just say it off the bat: they're not Orthodox Christians in the slightest. But that should have never happened. At the same time,
right. And this is the liberty, the beautiful liberty that Christians have to say that no violence is warranted against civilians under any circumstances. It's all an abomination. God loves life, and even the lives of the heretics. So it's terrible. I'm interested in. It was interesting the character of the question, because on the one hand, there's like this presumption that the reason why the Mormons would not be saved would be because of their incorrect theology, or their failure to understand adequately the Trinity. Which, I mean, of course, the legalism of orthodoxy, right? Like, if you have to have all your doctrinal points fine tuned in order to get into heaven, that's obviously, I mean, that's a problem for Lutherans. Lutherans often imagine that that's the case. But I was poking around. I know you love this topic too, Josh. Fundamental and non-fundamental doctrines, and primary and secondary fundamental doctrines. I went and looked in Pieper, and would among the fundamental primary doctrines are the doctrine of the Trinity. Like, in some sense, he says you have to get this one right, as does the Athanasian Creed. Now that's, it's like, this is what we confess, the Catholic faith, and if you don't confess this, you are accursed. Neither of those things really gets me to the answer, though, because I want to know what the scriptures say about it. And I think John is most helpful in his epistles, where he says, like, this is how you know where the Spirit of God is if you confess that Jesus has come in the flesh. Jesus, the Son of God, has come in the flesh. And the Mormons deny that, at least in the sense of denying who Jesus is, right? So someone has come in the flesh, but their articulation of who that is so far from what the scriptures say that it's not saying the same thing. Interesting. Let me just throw out one other comment, and then I want to hear your reactions as well. This question is also very interesting to think about, the problem of gospel reductionism. I have had one conversation with an LDS family. I was walking around the neighborhood in town a couple of years ago, and knocking on doors, asking folks where they go to church, and met some Mormons. And they welcomed me in. It was great. It was just the wife was there. Welcomed me in. We chatted for a bit. And what was really interesting about the conversation is that I left saying, man, I wish that Lutherans could so clearly articulate the like a doctrine of sin and atoning sacrifice and justification, because she said it so stinking clearly. It was like, I mean, I was like, wow, this is awesome. But what's interesting is, like, that's not enough, because it has to be the Son of God, the Son of the eternal God, eternally begotten from the Father before all worlds. It has to be that sacrifice and not another, right?
yeah, no, great thoughts. So you're right on the what does the Bible have to say? So just tailing off of John. So John 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So you can't have the Word of God, meaning the second person of the Trinity, the Son, without the Word of God, meaning the Bible. So if you're gonna reject what the scriptures say, which the Mormons clearly do about many things, but including the doctrine of God, well, then you don't have Jesus. And then the second Bible verse, my favorite proof text against the Mormons and the Muslims, by the way, because this goes hand in hand, is Galatians 1, because this seems to go, like, Paul is thinking of the Muslims and the Mormons when he's writing this almost. Verse 8, but even if we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel contrary to the one we preach to you, let him be accursed. And of course, Muhammad and Joseph Smith claim to have angels from heaven speak to them. And Paul's like, anathema.
Right. I mean, and the specific test is so plain. It's like, you could have an angel come and talk to you, but is he saying something different from what you received in the scriptures? Like, well, then he's not a good angel, right?
Now, would you both be comfortable with this? So as a historical helpful tool, because we do this with Lutheranism, we love our creeds because they define orthodoxy. This is great. If you can't confess the Apostles' Creed, you're not a Christian.
Yeah.
No, so you can't say. I mean, you can't say that. How about this? If you won't confess the Apostles' Creed, then you're not a Christian.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the margins here. In particular, like
Sure.
children, like
Oh,
they can't, right?
okay.
So I think it's important to say that there's an element of like, and this is what's problematic with the Mormons, is that it's not that they confess the doctrine they do out of ignorance; it's in rejection of what the scriptures say, right?
Okay,
And that's different.
I appreciate the difference. That's right. So if you won't do it,
Yeah.
because babies have faith. My next question was going to be the Nicene Creed. This would be an historical, good historical question. Because he's a really famous apologist, really smart too, but he rejects the Council of Nicaea. You know who I'm talking about? He does all these debates. He does who's the famous atheist on YouTube, that he debates.
Richard Dawkins. Or,
no.
Hmm.
I'm talking. He's a young kid. I mean, he might
Okay.
have debated Dawkins.
Oh, he's
This
British.
guy's older. Is he? He wears suits. Really nice smile.
Yeah, I just came across him a week or two ago, but I can't remember.
yeah.
He's like newly on the scene, right?
No, so I'm talking about William Lane Craig
I see.
as the apologist who from my understanding does reject Nicaea, and then the YouTube atheist guy, yeah, what's this? I just found his video. Alex O'Connor. He's got the mustache. He is British. He went to Oxford, got a master's in theology. It's really fun listening to his stuff because he's really articulate and smart and has thought about all the different angles. And obviously I disagree with him, but he does teach Christians how to sharpen their swords when arguing the faith.
Which is probably similar to Nietzsche too, right? Nietzsche helps us to understand that the faith that we have shouldn't be a dead faith just on paper, right? It should actually be lived, right? And at the same time, we should have a good confession on the other side too, a robust confession and intellectual confession. The other thing I was thinking of to your first question, Josh, is that those Christians who are afflicted by demons might really struggle to say a creed as well. Now, that's probably a margin as well. But I think that, or Christians who have intellectual issues as well, would struggle with that too.
And that gets fixed with David's distinction of they won't confess it, right?
Yeah.
Which is that's helpful. Thanks for that.
And that also answers the listener's question, because of course it's not getting all of your doctrinal ducks in a row that saves you, but it is submission to God's word, which makes promises to you that does save you, right? And if you are rejecting God's word, you got a problem.
My next suggestion was going to be even more outlandish. If you won't subscribe to the 1931 brief statement of the doctrinal position of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, well, that's too bad, buddy.
Yeah. Look, it wasn't an angel in heaven, all right? So it just just by committee.
Francis Pieper's pretty close, though.
I guess so. Yeah. Huh. Good. Excellent questions. I mean, we've got some astute listeners, haven't we? This is good stuff.
Yeah, we do. Now, Konkel's got 6 more minutes, so I want to give him the floor and let him tell us our thoughts on Genesis 28 before he's got to go.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me roll back to that here. Yeah, I'll be very brief. First of all, we see that that there's some preparation for marriage going on here. Jacob and Esau. Now, Esau already has Canaanite wives, and Jacob's father Isaac instructs him not to go after Canaanite wives, so he sends Jacob back to the homeland, Padan Aram, which is where really where Isaac came from to take a wife. I think this is paralleled in the New Testament by the apostles' command not to be unequally yoked. That is, when we're thinking about getting married, and we call ourselves a Christian and we have that confession, marrying an unbeliever is not on the table. That is before marriage. If we find ourselves converted when we are married to someone who is unequally yoked, an unbeliever, it's a different story. And St. Paul has different instructions for that. But this is a great reminder because I was remembering a David Buchs sermon from back in the day about the things that you can be blessed to do with your spouse. And David, you can correct me on this, but it's something like you eat together, you pray together, you read the Bible together, and you take communion together. And when you are united in those good things, especially a common confession, it promotes peace and harmony from God's word within the household as well. I'll pause there for any reflections.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good. That was a nice little homiletic thought I must have shared some time ago. That's really nice.
I was gonna say David doesn't remember any of the sermons he preached. I have to constantly remind him.
Isn't that true for all of us? Huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so it's interesting because for all of Isaac's failings, he gets this one right. So vividly. And I wonder. Okay, so hypothesize for a second. His gratitude to his father Abraham that he sent his servant to the what was the land to Padan Aram, right? That's where Abraham's servant had to go. Same place, right? To get a wife for Isaac. That he did that he fetched Rebekah for him and didn't take one of the women from the land. At this moment in Isaac's life, he must be, if he's taken the rebuke for his unfaithfulness to heart, must be very thankful that Rebekah was his wife and not a Hittite woman. And he seems to get it. So he's like, these Hittite wives are making me bitter. Don't let Jacob marry a Canaanite woman, right? And his sentiments about it are so clear that even Esau picks up on it. It's like, oh man, maybe an Ishmaelite will do.
And there's strife in Esau's household among the nation of Edom, essentially forever, right? Not only within itself, but against God's chosen people, Israel. So there's your good reasoning. Don't take a Canaanite wife, or I'm sure we can make that more pertinent to the discussion. But I'll leave that.
You might end up causing international conflict,
or at least interfamily conflict.
Right.
So if you want to disentangle the UN, take a Canaanite wife. Is that what you guys are suggesting? I'm just looking for what I need to like pastoral advice because I don't know. I don't know if the UN should exist or not. But that's great. Well, I love how practical Paul is with the matter too. It's like he's always addressing people where they are. So it's like, well, if you become a believer in your marriage, well, okay, we can't go back and fix it, but now we gotta do the best thing moving forward to honor Christ. So yeah, don't leave that, and it's gonna be tough. This is David's got a lot of good things to say about repentance too. It's like, well, you did it, and here we are, and now moving forward, well, this is gonna be the cross you got to bear. You said that one time, didn't you?
I think I said something like that, right? But I mean, and of course, it's so glorious because it's like, what's the alternative? You pretend like you did nothing wrong, and then you just suffer, or you say, "I made a mistake, I sinned, the Lord has forgiven me, and would you look at this? He's promised to bless me even in the carrying of this cross." It's just amazing. What a guy!
You're talking about God.
I am. Yep, talking about God.
Okay. What a guy he is. Konkel, before you go, any dreams last night?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a a defect in my part. I'm assuming it is, but I don't remember any dreams almost ever. I don't know if you guys have this. I don't know if it's because I'm always thinking of the next day, but unless I'm tormented by something that I've done or heard, I generally don't remember any dreams that I ever have.
Well, how peaceful of you.
Yeah, the Lord gives to his beloved sleep. That's you. That's
Yeah.
you, Nate. That's good.
Yeah. In peace, I both lie down and rest. Yeah. I'm going to take a few more minutes. I don't hear anybody yet, and I've already prepared what I'm doing. So I'll give a couple more minutes here.
You've
and
got
I
you've
can
got
do
a,
some listening.
the audience may enjoy knowing what you're up to this morning. What's going
Oh,
on?
sure. Yeah. Monday through Wednesday, we have morning prayer services at Peace. And then on Thursday, we have afternoon prayer services at St. Paul's and Bruno. So that's something that we get to enjoy with the congregation. I have 2 or 3 people generally, and they give much opportunity for hearing God's word. And they have, not because of me, but because of God's word, have greatly grown in maturity of faith and in trust of God and also in their knowledge of the scriptures. So we really enjoy doing that. They asked me to do that, and it's something that is a great benefit to both myself and to the hearers.
That's wonderful. What offices do you use?
We started with responsive prayer 2, and now we're doing matins after, I think we did that for about a year and a half, responsive prayer 2. And then at the other congregation, we do a responsive prayer 1, which is another suffragist service. It's got that great noonday prayer that we remember that at noontime, our Lord died. It's a great prayer for noon every day.
I got a really good insight into matins from a Presbyterian pastor who grew up Missouri Synod actually, but he was texting me, said he visited a Missouri Synod church and said they did matins, and his comment was that matins is like lamb. When it's well done, it's really really good, but when it's not, and I was like, that's really good. I never thought of that. David, you should have been there on Monday to hear all of these wonderful pastor voices chanting and bellowing out matins. It was a St. Michael's Day for the ages.
That's excellent. And I think that isn't that when it becomes especially sweet is when when nobody's looking at the book because everybody knows the responses. It's like this is you say, "Oh Lord, open my lips," or sing it, and nobody has to think about it. They just belt it. It's good stuff. That's
Yeah,
why
that's the
I
truth.
don't like I don't occasionally people and I'm sensitive to the difficulty of coming into a church and not knowing the liturgy. Right? Like it's challenging. And that's where you should be a good host. And like if you see somebody at your church who's fumbling their way around the hymnal, you should absolutely help them. That would be a nice thing to do. But I also like the consistency of the liturgy and doing it in such a way where it's like somebody could walk in and say, everybody here knows what's going on, and I have no idea what's going on. That's really what you want. It's like it's so familiar that everybody else knows what's happening, you know?
Which then means they can be gracious hosts too, right?
Exactly.
They know exactly where you're at on the page and all that, and it's easy to flip there, hand somebody a book. Here's where we are.
It's kind of fun for me because I get to see both methods. So at my first service, we use the hymnal for the service, and then when I go over to the other church, we use the same service, but we just print the entire thing out in a bulletin. And so it's fun for me watching visitors interact with both kinds of things, because with the bulletin, it's all printed out. It's really not that difficult to just pick up the page and see it.
I hear somebody downstairs. I should head
That's
out.
nice.
Thank you.
That sounds lovely. I like that hymn.
Yeah.
Yeah. God bless you guys, and thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank
Take
you.
care, Nate. Ah, what a nice guy, that Nate Konkel.
He is great. It's a great idea having him on. Did you have any dreams last night?
No, nope. I generally don't remember my dreams either. Yeah. How about you?
I did. I couldn't tell you what they were, but my do you have any perpetual nightmares?
No, but I do. I do have dreams that I have remembered from the past. Like they left such an impression that I remember them occasionally. Um, so not they don't recur. I don't think I've ever had like recurring dreams, recurring themes. For me, it's usually it's the first day of class,
Hmm.
and
And you're
I
running
can't.
late.
I'm running late. Yep, I can't
Me
stand it. That's why
me too.
when I'm running, you can't stand it when I'm running late or when you're running
Both.
late. Full disclosure, dear audience, I was running late this morning, and my apologies. Although you can't tell, but yeah,
No, I just like I like having leverage over you, so I actually kind of enjoy it.
yeah, that's good. That's good. But yeah,
I
that sense of like there was an assignment due, and I didn't get it done. Hate
or like
it.
I'm in college again and I forget that I'm in a class and I haven't showed up for 4 weeks.
That I have that one as well. Yeah. So, you look at your schedule and you're like, oh my goodness, there was this place I was supposed to be. Yeah. What does that mean
And
about us, Josh?
I don't know. I maybe that were disinterested academics. I
Yeah,
think because you would say that you like school, wouldn't you?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. So I think that's what it says about us. Like our biggest fear is missing an assignment.
Yeah.
And
Did you get good grades in school? You were a good student, aren't you?
I did. Yeah, you too.
Yeah. Yeah. But I later realized that I mean, it was the misfortune of recognizing that what I had gotten really good at was getting good grades, and that I had missed an opportunity to learn lots of things. You know.
That's true. Well, the problem is how school is set up is, and I don't know if this is a perfect system, but it is a game. Like every level, and you're teaching them how to play the game, which is valuable in its own right because it it teaches you have to figure out what you need to do to succeed in this situation. And then the hope is that you can take that set of skills and apply it to other things in life. And if your schooling is good, you will be able to do that.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So there is this value in learning how to, yeah, attain an objective, and it involves kind of a management of somebody else's expectations too, right? It's like here's this unique teacher, not like every other teacher. What do you have to do in order to get good grades from them? Um, and of course, because like some of the smartest people I know were also like just not at all interested in good grades because they studied things without caring about pleasing their teachers.
Which is what we really enjoy now. Just being able to
Yes.
pick up any book we want
Yeah. Yeah.
and learning from it. That's great. Huh. So the reason I ask you about dreams is because we have one of the most famous dreams here in Genesis 28. Jacob sleeping down on a rock for his pillow, and then of course he had weird dreams because he slept on a rock. He sees a ladder to heaven. Um, other biblical dreams, because this is a really prominent theme, and I don't want to go all Jungian on it. Although I'll maintain that he did have a point that there is something to dreams, although he took it too far, obviously. Obviously in the book of Genesis, Pharaoh's got dreams. Joseph has dreams. What else is there?
Yeah. Does Abimelech have a dream when he's got Sarah in his house? Joseph is the primary one. As far as interpreting those dreams, right? So yeah, as well as having dreams. Jacob, Abraham doesn't. I mean, Abraham's are not really described as dreams, are they? He's got this
I
vision of the smoking fire pot.
Yeah, and I kind of want to. Maybe there's a distinction, but I'll lump in visions and dreams kind of in the same place because it happens in a trance.
That's right. So I wonder whether Jacob, for instance, would distinguish between like the kind of ordinary dreams he might have on any given night and this thing that took place, which was worth writing down for all the ages that God showed him on that night. This does seem to be a different quality. Okay, so a dream about being late for class. I have no reason to imagine that God is revealing something to me that I didn't know otherwise. But clearly God is revealing something to Jacob here, explicitly in his dream.
So so I think the real hermeneutical key here, not just for the Bible, but for your life when it comes to dreams, is what Joseph tells Pharaoh. And the hermeneutical key is it is the Lord who interprets dreams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't have God interpreting the dreams, like what if God doesn't send Joseph to Pharaoh and Pharaoh is just stuck with this dream of 7 skinny cows devouring 7 fat cows? Like what in the world does that mean? Because it's really fun to tease that out. Let's do some Jungian interpretation of Pharaoh's dreams of cows devouring one another. What is he thinking?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so on the one hand, it's a horrifying thing, right? Because imagine the picture. That's horrible. It's grotesque and distorted for skinny cows to devour fat cows. So it's like a horror movie.
One of my favorite things to do is have the particularly with the college students, is I invite them each to come up to the whiteboard and draw the picture.
Okay. Nice.
And sometimes somebody takes me up on it, and it's great entertainment for the entire class.
That reminds me, I think that we talked about Stephen King last time around, or maybe a couple times ago. It makes me think about some of the animation that's out there nowadays. Are you disturbed by, like, okay, so Tim Burton movies, just, they give me the willies. And even, I'll be honest, Dr. Seuss illustrations are just like, I'm uncomfortable with them, because there is something, I don't want to say perverse, but it is like, these are not real. They're distorted, right? Things are out of proportion.
There's definitely something psychedelic about it.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. So, like, my daughter loves Winnie the Pooh. And you ever seen that classic movie? I think it's from the 70s.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's that when Pooh's having the dream
About the heffalumps and woozles.
The heffalumps and woozles. Like that is the most trippy scene to any movie I've ever seen.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it has a lot to do with drug culture, honestly.
Interesting.
Because Lewis Carroll, I mean, man, that guy was on something.
We were listening to Alice in Wonderland, or Alice Through the Looking Glass, on the other day while we were driving. My kids wanted to keep listening to it, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. It really, I don't enjoy it.
Well, there is something, because what you're trying to do, the psychedelic experience, is to enter the spiritual realm apart from God's interpretation, and so then that means it's really quickly demonic.
Yeah, which I think, imagine a pharaoh who is kind of breathing the air of magicians and sorcerers consorting with demons. This probably would be just another another disturbing vision, right? It's like, it does look demonic. Those 7 skinny cows devouring the fat ones.
Right. So yeah, if you ever have a dream that's weird, go read the Bible and then try to figure out what it means. But don't look into your own soul, because I can guarantee you're not going to find any answers there.
Yeah. That's right.
So that being said, we'll hop back into, because I know you want to talk about the rock pillow, but one of the keys to interpreting this is to just hop ahead all the way to John 1, when Jesus does say, "You will see the Son of Man lifted up and angels ascending and descending on the Son of Man," which reveals ultimately what this is about, how heaven and earth can be connected. Is Jesus, the Son of God, him on the cross, that's the connection. And we just had St. Michael's Day. It was great. It was glorious. And the one interesting thing is the verb order. So it's ascending and descending, meaning the angels are already here, because they start on the earth and then ascend and then come back down.
Yeah, that's good. I'm thinking about how thanks to like Peter Leithart and James Jordan, I now see Genesis and the Old Testament altogether framed in terms of house building, right? And Jacob says here, this is none other than the house of God at Bethel. And the question of the patriarchs is, where's my house going to be, right? the Lord has promised to make of me a great nation, to build for me a house. And how can that be? And then related is the question of like, where's God connected to this house? Is it a separate house? Is it his house? The Lord has made the world to be this dwelling place for man, and it's his house. And I think that the way you described it is great. It's like Jesus answers the question that had been asked even by the patriarchs, right? So Abraham asks that question: how is it that I can have an offspring when when Eliezer is the servant? It will be the heir of my house. And the answer, in some sense, is, well, Jesus. Yeah.
Right. That's really, it's so simple, but I mean, Christ is the hermeneutical key to everything.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
speaking of the name Bethel, this is an incredible act of faith on Jacob's part, naming this place Luz, which is the Canaanite name. So this is going to be the promised land, but it won't be for 400 years. And he has the foresight, and obviously he's got a vision because he sees God, to name it Bethel, the house of God, even though from the eyes, it's going to be Canaanite territory for the foreseeable future. And in fact, it is still named Luz in Judges 1 as they're coming into conquer. And that's one of the first things they conquer is Luz, and then they rename it Bethel, but what it is a re-acknowledgement of what Jacob had already seen by faith.
Yeah. That's incredible. It reminds me of that clip about if I knew the world was ending, I would plant a tree, right? Luther claimed to have said something like that, or somebody claims that Luther has said something like that. It's a common kind of quip, but nobody except for a Christian would think, I'm gonna lay a stake here that I will later see fully matured and grown, and that's incredible. Which is connected to investment in your family as a Christian householder, right? So glorious when you get to see your children and your children's children, and maybe even your children's children's children in this life, but never be hopeless, because you're going to get to see all of them and all of the generations, right? That isn't, in fact, that's what it says in Psalm 22, the end of Psalm 22, which Jesus is praying from the cross, right? How does it end? Posterity shall serve him, and shall be told of the Lord to a coming generation. They shall come and proclaim his righteousness to a people yet unborn, that he has done it, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is church building too, which is the same act as your family. It's exciting to think about, like what you do today, how you preach from the pulpit, actually does have ramifications for 500 years from now, and like into eternity as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Way
more important than we imagine. That's for sure.
I know. I need to stop being so lazy, is what that means.
Yes.
But at the same time, like enjoy your family, enjoy the people around you at the same time, right? Like Solomon's right. There's nothing better than to drink some wine with people you love.
Yeah. That's absolutely right, because of that of course is what you will be doing. So live now like you're living forever with these people, instead of living as though there's like something yet that you're trying to, there's some goal out of reach. No, like this, you actually are with your children. You are in heaven, right?
Yeah. You want to talk about this stone pillow and pillar?
Yeah, it struck me that the stone serves these two purposes. I mean, I imagine it was unusual for the stone to be a pillow. It seems unusual to me, but maybe this is a normal thing. But then he sets it up for a pillar, which is different than it's different than an altar. This is more like a memorial. And I just glanced, and actually, basically, it's only Jacob who deals with pillars. He does it here now, where he makes this memorial that includes his pledge to give God a tithe. That is interesting, right? Long before the Mosaic law, Jacob realizes that he's going to give to God. Giving to God a tenth of what God gives to him is an appropriate reaction to God's graciousness.
Great, and that mirrors what Abraham had already given to Melchizedek.
Precisely. That's right. Yeah, this is the normal, natural reaction to God being so gracious to you. When Jacob leaves Laban's house. He comes back to Bethel, and there's the pillar. God refers to the pillar. You anointed this pillar here for me. And so Jacob, after he has this conversation with Laban, sets up another pillar, ratifying the covenant with Laban. See this heap and this pillar, Laban says to Jacob. Jacob, I guess Laban's setting up a pillar as well. This heap is a witness. And then Jacob returns to Bethel again in chapter 35 and sets up another pillar in the place where he had spoken. That's interesting. I mean, he wants to remember things. Jacob really wants to remember stuff. And so, for whatever reason, he's got this thing with stones and pillars.
Well, so it's 2 or 3 witnesses, right?
Oh, sure.
That idea comes up way before Deuteronomy. And then do you see like the pillar is, going straight up? So is it supposed to kind of mirror that ladder to heaven? So it's a reminder that heaven and earth are connected through the Messiah, because that's what he does to the pillar, is he anoints it.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever seen, like, you go out into the woods and there's a creek or something, and somebody has stacked up some stones, some rocks in the creek, balanced
and then
precariously?
I'm always with my girls, so I'm like, okay, where's the homeless guy?
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. But somebody did it, because that's not how rocks are by nature, right? They don't sit lightweight. So somebody did it. Likewise,
I was going to say that's the apologetic argument for creation. It's like you see a turtle on top of a fence post.
That's right.
So
likewise, stones don't just stand on end, right? They topple over, right? And here's you're standing it on end and you're leaving it as a sign. I mean, you could get really fancy with it, but it's like the reversal of entropy, right? It's like the stone wants to lay flat, but God's raising it up, and it's up to heaven,
Good. And then, so Jacob's head has something to do with this, because it's where he rests and pours the oil on. So I'm thinking of Psalm 133. So unity, it's like the oil pouring down from Aaron's head down to his beard, all the way onto his garments. I mean, that's the same picture here. This oil from heaven. So that's the Holy Spirit. We see throughout the scriptures being poured out on the earth. So we can connect it with Joel, right? So in the prophet Joel, he's going to send pour his spirit on all flesh, and the old men are going to dream dreams. Look at that! It all ties together.
Yeah. I love it.
So that being said, then all this directional stuff, because we had north, south, east, and west mentioned too here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the point is that there's true unity. So Psalm 133. This messianic figure is going to unite all the earth through his anointing, through his ladder. But the key is there's a true unity and a false unity. So the false unity would be the Tower of Babel, which kind of mirrors this, but that's a bad pillar, a bad ladder to heaven, because they can't do it. The only way is for God to build that down. So the only way to have true unity is through the God-man, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's right. And in the case of these patriarchs, it's the promise of God that is foundational. That's the cornerstone, the one that on which you can build a tower. If you don't build on that, it's gonna be corrupted. It's such a cohesive picture, isn't it? I mean, it's just like this. The literary elements are so helpful, because we can conceive of building a stone. I told my Bible study, building a house or building a wall or a tower. I told my Bible study the other day, it's like in Psalm 127, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. This so chafes natural man, because he wants to say, if I have the technical skills required, I can stack stones on top of one another and apply mortar, and I can use a plumb line, and I can make a wall that will stand, and even one that would withstand an earthquake. Like you build buildings in Tokyo do pretty good against the earthquakes. But the point of the psalm is, no, unless the Lord holds that building up, it's not going to stand. So the only reason any building stands is because of the Lord. The Lord is holding it up, and it's so confounding. Like, it's just like, we hate that, and it's so true. It's like, so when you are stacking your Lincoln logs one on top of the other, and you're like a kid in a house where really at any moment one of your brothers or sisters could come along and kick those down, because that's the world you live in apart from God's promises.
Reminded me of we both love Arrested Development when they've got to con the Japanese investors into thinking this subdivision's been built. And then he puts on the dragon outfit and they're like, Gojira, Godzilla. Oh, that's so yeah. So the world is filled with Godzilla, but
That's right.
but God keeps the tower upright.
Yeah. What is it? It's a Potemkin village. That's the name of that's what they build.
That's right.
Just of course the irony in the whole thing is that they construct this fake village or fake subdivision that Godzilla comes and destroys, but the house that they're in is a fake house to begin with.
That's true.
It's so good.
That's so good. Well, we're 3 minutes up. Our next listener question begged us to go over an hour, which was hardy. So I don't mind asking you if you got anything that grinds your gears.
I am yes, I'm reading a book. I'm reading it. It's about the history of anti-sodomy laws in the United States. I was kind of curious because there's this I think we have this popular notion that there was a time when homosexuality was outlawed and something changed, and in like enforcement or in the legal code, and I wanted to know what exactly changed, or how did that play out. So I'm reading this book, and it's really interesting because the starting place is that although there were lots of laws on the books governing crimes against nature, which was the euphemism for more specific crimes, that they were only ever enforced in early American history. They were only ever enforced as a means for prosecuting sexual violence. So not as a matter of like prosecuting people who are committing private indiscretions. This is the argument that's being made by he's a lawyer and a judge who is very pro LGBTQ plus in his interpretation of the law and the Constitution, and it's clear from the outset, at least it seems clear to me, that he's making his argument that like even America in its apparent religious devotion to the natural order of things never was interested in getting inside people's houses or in their bedrooms to regulate things. That's the starting place of the argument. So that's interesting to me. I'm going to have to look for somebody who writes about it from a different perspective. The book is extremely technical and so loses me in a lot of ways. Like it's case law and it's constitutional interpretation, which is difficult for me. But it's an interesting story because what was it? It was as recently as in 2003, 2004 that the anti-sodomy law was deemed unconstitutional in Texas. It was kind of like the last one on the books, right? And when you hear that fact, it's shocking to know that we had such laws on the books as recently as the early 2000s. But what does that actually mean? That's what I'm interested in knowing.
Yeah, that's a good question, because there is something particularly lawless about having a law on the book which never gets enforced.
Right. Or that is utilized to criminalize other behavior, right?
Right, because that's not justice. Because then you're saying one thing and doing another, and then what that teaches people is that like what's on the books doesn't matter, which for a lot of us is true, unfortunately. But but then that ends up teaching you that like words don't matter, which is really pernicious.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that was, you said 2004, 21 years ago.
Early 2000s. Yep.
Which not that long ago. My one question that I raised to the presenters at our pastors' conference, because it got brought up through one of the speakers, was why did it take the Missouri Synod 11 years to sever fellowship with the American Lutheran Church? So they start ordaining women in 1970, and we don't break fellowship until 1981. And the answer, which the CTCR guy gave, which is just honest, but you have to tell me what I think about this. He's like, well, it's because we never did it before, and so we were scrambling and trying to figure out like what does that look like. And that just said so much to me about bureaucracy.
Right. So that's interesting. I'm thinking about the breakup of the Synodical Conference as a precedent. I guess that wasn't the Missouri Synod instigating that, but we'd experienced these kinds of things before. But you're right. I mean, the bureaucratic slog, which is always full of this like concern for like liability and collateral damage, right? Obscures the point.
Is it just like a size thing? Like, is it the scope? Because if we were smaller, you can get things done. But I don't want to be a guy who says that like all church bodies need to be under 1 million people, because that doesn't seem
Yeah.
good either.
How about this? Maybe even within something that is on a large scale, if the proportional activities are not taking place at the smaller level, the smaller scale, like say within the congregation, namely, if you're not practicing discipline within the congregation, then of course you're going to have a really hard time doing it on the larger scale.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's really helpful to think of these concentric circles. So it starts in the family, then congregation, and then this is where I think like the circuit is the perfect unit that we have, because it's manageable, because you're dealing with 10 congregations or so. That's a large amount of people, and yet you have the ability to know all the leaders, all the pastors of that congregation, and be friends with them. And so you can actually actively know what's going on in another congregation and deal with it. But once you get to the district level, it almost feels too big.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think that what's interesting to me is that everybody kind of acknowledges that. I was listening to an old podcast from what you might call the left in Missouri about slow ecclesiastical supervision, like not enforcing standards on pastors. And of course, the criteria was something I disagree with. But it's interesting that the same concern was at play, from the other side, in a sense, right? It's kind of like we all agree that this stuff, like that scale is not functional for actual churchmanship, like there's a different scale we need to operate in.
Yeah, so go start your own circuit newsletter.
That's actually on my radar here in the South Little Rock circuit. It's coming.
That warms my heart.
What's grinding your gears? What do you got?
So I'm reading through a Stephen King novel right now, The Gunslinger. I wanted to. He's prolific, written so much, and I was just interested in like main train of thought, and I knew there was this Dark Tower series. So this is the first one I've ever read, and it's a little bit disturbing. I'm curious to see where it goes, and then also reading through G.K. Chesterton's book on St. Thomas Aquinas, called the Dumb Ox, and my day is always just better when I read Chesterton, just bringing the levity to life and the wordplay, and his insight into just life is great. His insight. So he's starting off comparing Aquinas with Francis of Assisi, who he had also written a biography on, who I haven't read yet. But one of the things he said was that these men rose because of a deficiency in the culture. So like with Assisi, it was people didn't love nature enough, and so he arises. And then with Aquinas, it's people were essentially stupid and didn't enjoy reading the Bible or systematizing things enough. And so then scholasticism comes on board, and he defends scholasticism by saying it's meant to be expansive and to enjoy God's glory all the more. So it got me thinking, like, what kind of hero do we need today, and like what are we deficient in, and how can we counter that?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question. Of course, and sometimes you don't know it until you find the hero, right? Who sings that song? I'm looking. I need a hero. Is that Aretha Franklin? Maybe.
Oh, maybe that'd be good. Well, cool. Well, we got some guests lined up. I'm excited to bring them on, and look, we're at more than an hour, so that should keep our listeners happy.
Yeah, perfect. So call 501-777-7810 and leave your message, or the CloudCast at proton.me. thecloudcast@proton.me. We love hearing from you.
All right, perfect. See you later.
Adios.